1991 Rickenbacker 4003. It is simply amazing. Picked it up a couple weeks ago, and honestly, one of the greatest days of my life. I've wanted one of these since I was young. I saw the fly-by-night video by Rush, and it has absolutely lived up to its expectations. The neck isn't as bad as what people tell you. Some people will say they're giant, thick, huge radius, and massive at the nut, and they're hard to play. That's what I heard a lot. That's what worried me a lot about getting Rick, but that's just not true. Are they thicker than a jazz bass? Yes, this one is 1 inch and 5/8 thick nut, and it's really not that bad. It is a little thicker behind the first fret. What I actually didn't know is you can see the V shape there. It kind of right here. The neck gets thick behind the first fret, so it actually does thicken up there. But it's really not. I had a jazz bass. I actually sold the jazz bass to buy this because I love Rickenbacker so much. But it's really not hard to play there. It's not bad at all. I thought it would be hard to play from what I heard, but it just isn't. It's pretty awesome. It's the 4003, which has the binding, the shark fin inlays, and the binding around the neck as well, which is just awesome. I had a chance to trade my Jazz Bass Performer Series for a 4003 S, which doesn't have the binding or the inlays, and it was a good deal, but I just couldn't. I love the inlays and the fret binding that goes around the neck. And a cool thing, attention to detail, that Rickenbacker does is there's actually a layer of wood in between the neck where the paint starts and where the inlay starts, the binding. It's actually pretty cool. I've never seen that on another guitar. Yeah, the guy I bought it from was the original owner. Bought it in 1991, and he's had it ever since. And it's pretty great. It's in pretty good shape. There is a couple nicks. There's this one here, but it's actually been smoothed out from playing, so I kind of like it there. Honestly, I like the nicks and all the issues they come with cosmetically. Just adds to it. He said that back in 1991, I bought this in Canada, Ontario, that's where I live, near Toronto. He said that there was only two reps who brought in the Rickenbackers to Ontario. 3 for the East Coast, 3 for the West, and this was one of them. There was only 6 at the time. I'm not 100% sure about that, but he seemed like a reasonable guy. I don't think he would lie about it. The color is actually, it's just called red. I thought it might be fire engine red or possibly ruby red, but it doesn't have the sparkles in it. It's not metallic. The metallic is the ruby red, and I don't think they made fire engine red for the Rickenbackers for the 4003s or the ones. I think just for the electric guitars. It was in rough shape when I got it. It had terrible action. It was absolutely filthy, and the neck was just disgusting. It was pretty bad, but it's pretty clean now. I polished it with Meguiar's Ultimate Polish, the fretboard included, and it cleaned up really well. I adjusted the truss rods, which you just have to. A lot of people get pretty scared about doing it because there's dual, and you can twist them and break them, but you just have to apply the pressure to the neck first. You have to bend it, tighten them, and then let go. You have to do the bending of the neck. Don't let the truss rods take all the weight, because that'll cause issues. The only issue with it is the bridge, which happens to a lot of them. you can see right back here, it's lifting. It's lifted up from the tension of the strings. Rickenbacker recently released a new bridge called the version 2 that fixes that. It doesn't lift anymore, and you can also adjust each individual saddle, which you can't on this. For some reason it's only just the 2 sides, so all of them together pretty much. I use a really low action so you can hear the clank, especially if it's not plugged in. But that's just because that's the kind of sound you need to have to get the rush tone. You don't really get it without the clank. The clank is kind of, it really is part of it. Put it into the stereo. It's kind of just part of it. You probably hear it a lot more in this video because you can hear it actually coming from the strings, not just the amp. But I use the Roto Sound 45 to 105, the same ones that Geddy Lee use. They're just awesome. They're really bright, and they stay bright for a while. Really, you just gotta wash your hands before you play every time. That's the secret. I think a lot of people don't do that, and the oils from your hands get into that, and they really just kill the strings. It's a great bass. It's pretty versatile. You know, you can actually get kind of high up there on the upper register, and it's not vibrating and buzzing out, even if it is going hard, which is how I play really hard. That kind of causes it to buzz out. But like I said, that's kind of part of it. But if you don't want it to be, then it doesn't. Get some good tones out of it. It's pretty great, really. I use the Tube Screamer pretty much to get my overdrive for the rushed type of stuff. I will be getting the YYZ pedal by Geddy Lee at some point, but really any bit of overdrive with bright strings will get you that tone. The tuners are amazing. They stay in tune. I rarely have to tune it. I don't know why anyone changes them out. Maybe different models, different years aren't as good, but these ones are fantastic. They're just as good as my jazz bass ones. Really, if you love Rickenbackers and you haven't got the chance to play one, or you don't have one, and you're thinking about whether or not it's worth it, it absolutely is. In Canada, they're pricier, they're harder to find. This one was $2,000, and obviously not in perfect shape, but totally playable. But yeah, I think they're totally worth it. If I was thinking about putting on black pickguard and a black truss rod cover. Let me know in the comments if you think that's ridiculous or not. Maybe I won't. I'll just keep it original. I do like the look of the black ones, but I also do love the way it is now. Also, before I go, I'm curious, does anyone know why the previous owner would have chipped paint away there and there? Why would one do that? I didn't even notice when I bought it, but I'm curious. This is the original bridge, so I'm not sure why. It looked like he tried to shim it or something, but I'm really not sure. A couple more tunes here.